Hi again, story time with Nonna. Today we are on Drummond Island, and if you didn't see the other video about Drummond, I'll show you here. Drummond is an island up in the UP, but it's like off the UP because it's in the water, right? So it's on the very far eastern end of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. So we come here every year, and this is part of our cabin that we stay in. And there is Scotts Bay. And I'll show you the part of our cabin. Yep, this is part of our cabin. It's big, and we stay here with friends. And we come at least once a year, sometimes twice. And we have fun. So I hope you get to visit Drummond Island. So today we're going to read a story about Drummond Island. This one is called Drummond Island's Special Otter. The true story of Buddy the Otter by Jill Lowe Brummel and illustrated by Cheryl Milne. Okay, should we start? I don't know this story, but I think it's a little bit longer book, so you might have to watch this in a couple sittings. Aw, and look, it's signed. It says, "Nature at its best, Jill Lowe Brummel." Brumwell. Oh, I was saying it wrong. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. It says, "Travel with Buddy to all these locations and join Buddy as he visits these places on Drummond Island." Now look at that. So this is a map of Drummond Island. And these are all the little spots where he's gone. Huh, and look, he's even gone all the way down to Grand Rapids. And this is how you get, see, here's Drummond Island right up here. So this is the lower peninsula, this is the upper peninsula, and there's Drummond Island. Okay, let's get to the story. Okay, it says it's dedicated to those who love animals. That's me. Lots of people love animals. Okay, there's a little thing here from the author, so I think I'm going to read this because this tells what the story is about. It says, "This is the true story of a North American river otter born near the small town of Gwin in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Buddy, also known as Oscar, was one of the most widely traveled representatives of its species in Michigan, perhaps in the entire United States. The route the animal traveled was by no means direct, and its entire trip wasn't by conventional otter locomotion. But he had some help along some of the journey and seemed to enjoy traveling in trucks and cars, as well as rivers and streams. Our otter traveled from Gwin, Michigan, in Marquette County, to Schoolcraft County, Luce County, Mackinac County, to Drummond Island in Chippewa County, to the Grand Rapids John Ball Zoo in Kent County. I found the way this small animal touched the people it came in contact with heartwarming. All said it was something they would always remember and are grateful for an experience few are privileged to have in their lifetimes." I quote Andrea, who knew Buddy before he moved to Drummond Island. "I felt certainly blessed to have had Buddy in my journey of life, and I was so happy to hear how he continued to be himself and give other people a smile, or a startle, or a story. This otter was unique and so special that his story needed to be told and presented to readers who love animals. It is my hope that through this book, Buddy will live on in schools, libraries, and homes and continue to give people pleasure. Enjoy. Jill Lowe Brumwell." Okay, now we're starting the story. So now we know the background and all that stuff. Okay. One spring day, a mother otter decided to move her babies to a safer place. Baby otters are called kits, and the 4 little kits jumped on their mother's back. They were crossing a country road when a car came along and scared the mommy otter. In her haste to cross the road, one of the tiny otters fell off her back. Look, there they are. Uh-oh. You think the one that fell off was maybe Buddy or Oscar? I'm thinking. Okay. People in a nearby farmhouse saw what happened and expected the mommy to come back for her baby. Days went by and she didn't return. The farm family was worried about the little animal and called the Department of Natural Resources. They came at once and placed the little Oscar with a man who rescued wild animals. Now, you know what? Nonna here used to help rescue wild animals for 25 years. I was a wildlife rehabilitator, so this is really fun, especially. He called it Oscar and fed it milk from a baby bottle, and later egg yolks mixed with milk. I never got to rescue an otter, though. Okay, as Oscar grew, he was taken for swims in rivers and lakes. He learned to swim and find food to take care of himself. Oscar lived with that kind man that spring and summer. The man grew to love Oscar, but he knew Oscar was a wild North American river otter that should be returned to the wild as soon as it was able to take care of itself. Eno, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, had rescued animals before. They too were returned to the wild, but this was going to be harder for him. Oscar was different. Okay, so there's the pictures. There's Oscar in the road, and Mama didn't come back. She had 3 other babies to take care of. So there's the farmhouse. And then over here, there we have Oscar, and that's where he was learning to swim and getting exercise in the rivers. All right. In early fall, Eno drove Oscar to the Seney National Wildlife Refuge in Michigan's Schoolcraft County. It was considered an ideal home for Oscar, but he had other ideas. He wandered along connecting rivers and streams for many days. Weeks later, 2 men were fishing in Luce County. They must have reminded Oscar of his friend Eno. He began swimming around their boat. One of the men said, "You'll never catch fish with this otter swimming around us. Let's go home." Okay, so there's Oscar in Seney National Wildlife Refuge, which is a really cool place. So they tried to release him there, but Oscar had other ideas and he wanted to hang out by the people who were in the boat. Okay, let's see what else. The fishermen were ready to leave and putting the last bit of gear in the car when Oscar jumped in the car and would not get out. He opened his mouth and showed them his teeth. The men decided to take Oscar to a friend's house on a lake in Mackinac County. Oscar enjoyed his ride in the car. The fishermen arrived at the house on the lake and told Russ there was something in the car for him. He opened the door, and much to his surprise, an otter jumped out and headed for the lake. Oscar quickly accepted the lake as his new home. He roamed freely around the lake, but visited Andrea and Russ regularly. Puzzled, yet pleased with the otter's friendliness and not knowing it had been named Oscar, Andrea gave it a new name, Buddy. Buddy remained on the lake during the rest of fall and all winter, and they soon realized that he loved hot dogs. There he is. He jumped in the car and wouldn't get out. That's crazy. And then here's the lake where Andrea and Russ live in Mackinac County, and that's where Oscar, who got a new name, Buddy, lived. For a while, anyway. Let's see what else happens. Okay. When Andrea went jogging Buddy jogged beside her. He liked to ride in the car and stick his head out the window, just like Andrea's dog. But jumping in the hot tub was another favorite prank. Oh my goodness. Buddy tried to get on the school bus with Carrie, and when they wouldn't let him, he'd run down the road after it. Having to give up, he'd return to the lake to play with the muskrat that lived there. Oh my goodness, look at that. This is true. And he ran alongside Andrea, and he would go in the car with the dog and in their hot tub. Oh my gosh. And even tried to get on the school bus. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, let's see what happens next. In winter, he was often seen sliding down snowbanks and hills. Toward the end of winter, a producer of an outdoor television program learned about the otter and paid Russ and Andrea a visit. He had filmed Oscar before he was released, and after seeing Buddy, was convinced they were the same otter. He returned with Eno, who agreed it was the same otter he had raised. There he is, playing in the snow. There he is on video. That's funny. Wow. So he's getting to be known by a lot of humans. Okay. By spring, Buddy's pesky behavior became a problem. Andrea called the Department of Natural Resources, and with their consent, Buddy was driven to a resort with a small zoo on Drummond Island in Chippewa County, at the eastern end of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, right where I am right this very minute. Steve picked Buddy up that day. He was surprised when Buddy jumped in the truck for the trip. Steve didn't know that Buddy was a seasoned traveler. The zoo was also home to a trio of orphaned black bears and a bull elk. Buddy's new home was 2 ponds connected by a stream. Steve put fish in the ponds for Buddy to eat. There he is. He jumped in the truck to go to the zoo on Drummond. And here he is at that little zoo on Drummond with the baby bears. And there he is. There's Buddy, Oscar, and there's the bull elk. Okay, let's see what happens next. This is pretty adventurous. Oh my goodness. Buddy enjoyed living at the zoo that was part of a resort. At the lodge, he was seen climbing on an end table, sleeping in one of the beds, and swimming in a bathroom tub. Oh, he amused guests when he went into the dining room and demanded food. He even participated in the annual 5K race sponsored by the resort, running along with the runners. That's so crazy. Steve even took Buddy in the truck to get ice cream. I wonder if they went to that teepee place. Buddy loved ice cream. One day, Buddy was sniffing the outstretched hand of a guest who was at the resort and bit her thumb. Because Buddy was naughty, Steve called the veterinarian who took care of the zoo animals. Dr. Bennett told Steve to put Buddy in a pen for a few days. There he is eating the ice cream. And, that's where he bit somebody's hand. And there's the veterinarian telling him to go put him in a cage for a little bit. Okay. Buddy did not like being in the pen. When Dr. Bennett thought Buddy had learned a lesson and would be a good otter, he let him out. But Buddy was soon back to his old tricks. Otters are known to travel, and Buddy traveled through the woods and found Lakeview Resort. Curious Buddy checked out everything the tourists left outside. He especially liked ice chests and looked to see what they had inside, because maybe it was a tasty fish or tooth. Looks like he's getting himself into trouble. There he is, getting into the coolers. Darn Buddy. He's going to get himself in trouble again. Okay, let's see what happens. He opened the minnow buckets and munched on the minnows. And he got in the boats and played in them. The owner of Lakeview Resort put cardboard down to lay on while he was working on his car. And Buddy laid down beside Steve on the cardboard. Oh my gosh. Moving on to the Weona Resort, Buddy found Lynn and Leslie to play with. They were visiting their grandparents who owned the resort. The girls would call Buddy to go swimming, and he would come running from wherever he was. Their grandma put a blanket under a boat trailer for Buddy to sleep on. Oh my goodness, he really travels. There he is, laying under the car. There he's getting into the minnow buckets and into the boats. And here he is sleeping under the boat trailer. A silly otter. Lynn and Leslie turned rocks over along the shore to uncover the crayfish for Buddy to snack on. They wore old tennis shoes in the water because Buddy not only nibbled on the crayfish, he nibbled on their toes. One day, road workers were using the picnic table for their lunch break. Buddy surprised them and jumped on the table. They ran away and left their sandwiches, and Buddy ate them, but he didn't like their coffee. There they are. See, they're walking and they're turning over the stones so Buddy can get the crayfish. And there they're wearing tennis shoes because Buddy nibbled on their toes. And there's Buddy causing trouble at the workers' picnic table. Oh my goodness, that Buddy. Okay, Buddy's next adventure, was at the Drummond Motel. Tootie left the door open to get supplies. And going back with clean sheets, she flipped the blankets back and found, much to her shock and surprise, an otter sleeping under the covers. That is crazy. Tootie screamed and ran outside. Buddy went to the window and poked his face between the mini blinds, looking to see what the fuss was all about, even though it was about him. Look, oh my gosh. So he found his way under the covers and was just sleeping there. And here he is. Hey, what's going on? When the lady screamed and ran because she saw him. Oh. Buddy spent a lot of time in the water. Sometimes he stayed in a crib of rocks offshore with other otters. That's good. Buddy ran up and down the shore of Pottaganissing Bay on Drummond Island's north side. When he saw someone walking on the beach, he would run right up to them. To Buddy, there were no strangers, just friends to meet. There he is, hanging out with the other otters. And then over here, he's meeting new people on the beach. What a funny little otter. I did not even know this story was here. We've been coming to the island for quite a few years already. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss a page here. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Buddy continued traveling in and out of the water. Eventually, he was at the yacht haven. And all these places are familiar to us, which is really cool. One day, a sailboat was at the gas dock. Gay was filling the gas tank with fuel. And Buddy, what do you think he did? He took the opportunity to climb on the boat, much to the surprise of those on board. Fortunately, Buddy, though mischievous, was well-mannered and came out when he was called. He was at the yacht haven for several days. Tiring of the pranks he played, Denny decided to take him to Warner's Cove, and maybe he'd like the island's south side. So Buddy jumped in Denny's truck. Enjoying the ride, he sat on the seat and looked out the window. Occasionally, Denny reached over, patting Buddy on his head and thinking, this is the last time I'll see Buddy. Well, it didn't take Buddy long, and he was back at the yacht haven. There they are, yacht haven. He jumped in the boat, surprised everybody. And there he is. There's Denny driving him to the south shore. But then he decided to come back to yacht haven. Sheesh. Okay. Well, water wasn't necessary. Buddy left the shore and traveled inland to the Bear Track restaurant. We know where that is. We have breakfast there a lot. He even knew how to open the back door. Oh my gosh. A couple was sitting at a table eating oatmeal and toast, and Buddy jumped up on the table and began to eat their oatmeal. Oh my gosh. Tom and Marva pushed their chairs back and sat watching in a state of shock. As Buddy finished the oatmeal and moved onto their toast. When he finished the toast, he quickly jumped on the floor. Nancy and the owner put a crate over Buddy and called Pat to help them get Buddy outside. Good thing. There they are, jumping up on the table, eating toast and oatmeal. And there he is. They put him in a crate because he was causing trouble again. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, continuing to travel inland, Buddy stopped to see Shelby and Junior. Shelby said they looked out the window one day, and there he was, in the yard. Junior bought a wash tub and filled it with minnows. Buddy really enjoyed diving in the tub and gobbling up all the fish. He loved playing with their friendly dog, and they took turns chasing each other and exchanging friendly nips. Robin and her father, Larry, went to see Buddy. Robin took Buddy hot dogs. Pictures were taken to remember the moment. Being up close to a wild otter was a special experience. He let them give him hugs, and they never forgot the feeling of that little body that was all muscle. One day, Junior was sitting on the ground, and Buddy came over and showed his short-tempered size by biting the hand that fed him. Buddy just Junior's hand. Junior dumped the water out of the tub, cleaned up the remaining fish, and turned the tub upside down. With no tub to play in and no fish to snack on, Buddy left and was seen traveling down the Channel Road looking for a new adventure. Oh my goodness. There they are. So that's Shelby the dog, and there's Buddy, and there's the little tub, Buddy's wash tub. And then that's when they were hugging him and hanging out, and there he is, traveling down Channel Road. Okay. This time, Buddy chose to be back on the lakeshore, near Nate's Marina, where a large family gathering was taking place. There were grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, and cousins enjoying the large get-together. One cousin, 10-year-old Michael, came up from swimming and said he was playing with an otter. Whatever. No one thought he was serious until he returned from the beach a second time with an otter and a few family pets bounding behind him. That's crazy. There he is. There's their family gathering. Everybody's hanging out. There's the otter with the family pets. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. The otter wasn't seen for a day and was missed by his new friends. Then one of the uncles said, "Betsy, we have good news and bad news. The good news is the otter's back. The bad news is the otter ruined the sweatshirt you left outside last night." Oops. Days later, at Cream City Point, Jim was enjoying a spaghetti dinner at his kitchen table when he heard a noise out on the porch, sort of a scratching sound. He slid the door to open and investigate. Faster than a speeding bullet, Buddy came in, jumped up on Jim's chair, and finished Jim's spaghetti. After his hearty meal, Buddy left the chair with otter speed, raced down the hall to a bedroom, and jumped in bed. Maybe he wanted to take a nap. But Barb and Jim wanted to get Buddy out of their bed and out of the house. Jim and grandson Brent had to coax Buddy out with food, and Buddy didn't like it when the food didn't come fast enough. Well, there he is back, and that's the sweatshirt that he found left outside, and he ruined it. There he is eating spaghetti. Buddy likes spaghetti. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this is all true. Buddy moved to another place at Cream City Point. He made himself right at home, picked out a favorite place to sleep under the deck where it was cool, and when he wanted more comfort, he would stretch out on a lawn chair and go to sleep. Gary and Rondi and their children, Danielle, Bree, and Courtney, enjoyed Buddy's antics. Hours were spent on Gravel Lake while Rondi rowed the boat. Danielle, Bree, Courtney, and Buddy swam together. Buddy would swim under the boat and pop up on the other side. They laughed when he stopped playing long enough to catch a fish to eat. When at Suni's Grocery, which is right down at the Four Corners, we get our groceries there. When at Suni's Grocery, talking about all the fun they were having with an otter, the clerk said, "That has to be Buddy," and told the family about Drummond Island's friendly otter visiting other places. He loved people. For attention, he would jump up on your leg and let you pet him. When he wanted to play, he would jump up on the deck and look in the sliding glass door with his nose pressed against the glass. There he is, hanging out. Wow, there he is. I want to come in, I want to come in. Oh my goodness, this otter is ridiculous. All right. People who knew Buddy began to worry about him. He approached strangers who didn't know he was a friendly, tame otter. He was lucky when people he approached didn't scare easily and soon realized he was just special and liked people. But when word got around that one lady was so afraid, she sprayed him with bug spray. Buddy's friends were afraid he might really get hurt. So maybe Buddy would be safer and happier somewhere else. Folks who cared made arrangements for Buddy to travel to the John Ball Zoo in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There were friendly otters and fish in the stream. Scott, who knew Buddy when he was on Drummond Island, visited him at his new home. Buddy was busy catching fish for the others who didn't know how. Uh-oh, but Buddy had a little secret. Oh, that's when the lady sprayed him with bug spray because she didn't know that he was friendly and wouldn't hurt her. And there he is at his new place at John Ball Zoo, catching fish for the other otters. That's silly. Okay. All the time, he was called Oscar or Buddy. The name should have been Barb or Buffy, because our otter was really a girl. Oh my goodness. And there's a picture of the real Buddy. Oh, that's wonderful. There's Buddy, who's really a girl. And look at that. There is a picture of the real Buddy. That's so cool. And that's the end of the story. Yep, it was a little bit longer, but that was cool. And it's all true. All right, I hope you have fun. See you next time. Bye.